Welcome to the NWR Resources Virtual Series. My name is Kerry Stevenson, and joining me today is Craig McKay. He is the Managing Director of Golden Rim Resources. They're developing an advanced gold project in West Africa, their flagship project, the Kada Gold Project in Guinea. Here to let you all know about that and to update you on the latest news, please welcome Craig McKay. Craig, good to see you. Over to you.
Thanks, Kerry. Thanks, everyone, for sitting in on my presentation on Golden Rim Resources. So what I want to talk to you about today, and I think the real focus of our presentation and certainly the focus of the company is our new Kada Gold Project in Burkina Faso. It's a very interesting project. It's an oxide gold project. It's advanced. It was an ex-Newmont project. Newmont drilled nearly 400 holes at Kada and put together a non-JORC resource, which we obviously can't use. So there's a real start. I think the exciting thing about Kada is the upside. So all of the drilling to date, it's been over about 800 meters of strike. And the recent work that we've done, and I'll show you some slides shortly, we've now identified a 15-kilometer corridor with anomalous gold and bedrock, where we think there's plenty of potential for more oxide gold to be uncovered and put into resource. And then I think it's the part of the world. It's if you look regionally, the structure that hosts Kada, if you go up 35 kilometers along the same structure, you have a very large gold deposit in the Kouri mine complex. So AngloGold Ashanti, I've got 10 million ounces there. In fact, it's closer to 13 now. I've been mining for quite a period of time. And what's interesting about Kada and Kouri is the mineralization looks almost identical. So where are we going with Kada? Well, it's really getting out a maiden JORC resource. We're about to start drilling again shortly. Once this second round of resource drilling is completed, we'll be looking to put out a maiden resource at this stage around the end of this year, sort of early Decemberish, depending on how the drilling progresses. I suppose one thing we really like about Kada is its mining attributes. It really looks like it's something where we can get a resource together quickly, and we could get into development quickly. And the other thing we like about Guinea is the fact that it's a safe jurisdiction to operate. So just a bit of a summary on the corporate side. Currently, Golden Rim's worth about 20 million Australian dollars. We had 1.6 million cash in the bank at the end of June. We did a fundraise in September for $6 million. We've received half of that, $3.8 million of those funds. The remainder will come in following a shareholder meeting on the 5th of November. So we're certainly fully funded now to take the project forward, complete the second round of drilling, put out a maiden resource, and then look to make that resource bigger again. Currently, we have 3.3 billion shares on issue. On that meeting on the 5th of November, we're looking to the vote on the consolidation 15-1. In terms of the board and management team, I think probably the main point I want to make there is our African experience. So Golden Rim has been in West Africa now for 14 years. We've made a number of discoveries, put together a number of resources. So we certainly know how to operate in that part of the world. And then if we look at our chairman, Adonis Prulis, his family have been involved in the mining side. So his family has now built 10 mines in Africa. If we look at gold and we look at West Africa, he was involved with Toro Gold, which developed the McKay gold deposit in Senegal, just to the north of us in Guinea, which was sold to Resolute for $400 million. So certainly the intention, particularly with Adonis coming on the team for Golden Rim, is to develop a gold mine, and we certainly believe that Kada will be first cab off the rank for us. So we'll just spend a little bit of time now looking at Kada itself. So there's a location map, West Africa. So we have our Kada Gold Project in Guinea. We also have a gold project in Burkina Faso called Kouri. But focusing on Kada, so Guinea, very much a mining country. The bulk of its export earnings come from mining, particularly from bauxite mining. If we look at the gold side of things, presently Guinea is only producing about 6% of West African gold production, and it's very much underdone. If you look at the prospective greenstone rocks in Guinea, more than double that percentage. So really, there should be a lot more production in Guinea, and it really comes down to the fact that a lot of the greenstones have not been properly explored. Just the other thing that does give us a bit of a leg up in Guinea is our chairman has already developed a mine there. He has an operating bauxite mine on the coast near Conakry in Guinea. So if we look at Kada itself, so the map there on the right shows you the Kouri Basin where Kada sits. So the pale green there are prospective rocks that host the gold. So Kada sits smack bang in the middle of the basin. To the north of us, along the same structure that hosts our mineralisation at Kada, we have Anglo Gold Ashanti at the Kouri mine, more than 10 million ounces of gold. The mineralisation at Kouri and at Kada are almost identical. Very deep weathering, so very deep saprolite zone. Anglo Gold Ashanti just focus on the oxide, they're not mining the fresh. And the mineralisation is very similar, so very broad zones of stockwork, quartz, sulphide, tourmaline mineralisation. In terms of our licence area, we've currently got 200 square kilometres, and we have a deal in place to expand that to 300, just waiting on government approval, which we would expect soon. I think probably the main point I want to make about the Kouri Basin, and I mentioned previously, I mean, it's just underexplored. The reason for that is generally is the laterite cover that covers the basin. So the whole thing is covered with about 5 to 10 metres thick of laterite cover. Makes it very difficult. There's not a lot of outcrop. But the key now is really this auger drilling. So what we're seeing in Guinea, we have seen it elsewhere in West Africa, is just the influx of auger drilling where you're testing bedrock beneath the laterite cover. We've certainly seen recent success with auger drilling predictive discovery, about 100 kilometres to the southwest of us at Bankan, so that's an auger drilling discovery. And we're finding that a lot of companies are now bringing in auger rigs and starting programs throughout the rest of the basin. And we certainly see moving forward, there's going to be a lot more success driven from that work. And certainly in our Kada project itself, we've already done a major auger program, which has been highly successful, and we're planning more through the rest of the licence area. So with the Kada, we're not starting from scratch. So it's an advanced project. Newmont were there 2007 to 12, did nearly 40 kilometres of drilling, nearly 380 holes. And you can see some of the intercepts that they've got there. They didn't worry about internal dilution with their intercept calculations, so they essentially bulked out entire holes. But very broad zones of mineralisation, higher grade in the oxide zone, lower grade in the fresh beneath. You can see their resource model there on the right-hand side, so a big blob of orange mineralisation going down to about 250 metres below surface. In the work that we're doing, we're just concentrating on the oxide zone, so the top 120 metres. They did put together a resource internally, a non-JORC resource, so not JORC compliant, so not one that we can use. But we're now looking to build on that with infill drilling that we're doing. I think the main point to make with the Newmont work is that they just scratched the surface. So they only looked at 2% of the Kada permit area. The rest hasn't been explored. So certainly there's real good potential here for us to put out a maiden resource on the area that has been drilled to date, and then to expand that beyond that area. So if we look at the area where Newmont drilled, so we call that the Newmont resource area. So that's in that black outline, dashed outline on the map there. On that plan, we have the Newmont holes with the black circles, and then we have our holes in the white, ones that we've just done in the last 6 months, and ones in blue that we're about to do, and we should kick off that drilling shortly. Once all of that drilling is done, we'll better sit down and work out our resource. The colour on that map is oxide metre grams, so anything that is red is above 50. which is actually very good for gold. So if you now look at what we have now at Kada, we have this flat-lying oxide blanket. It's 700 metres wide, it's 800 metres long, and it extends from surface down to 100, 120 metres below surface. And I think the exciting thing is it's completely open. So particularly to the north and to the south, it's open. It's also orbited in a limited extent, probably to the east and the west. And then there's big gaps. You can see what looks like a mouth in that image there. It's just a big gap in the drilling, the Newmont drilling. So the blue there are holes that we're planning to do shortly to fill that in. And we're certainly confident that that lateritic oxide gold will go right through that zone. So we've just done a first round of drilling, so 27 holes, just over 4,000 metres. You can see some of the results there, some of the intercepts there in the labels. And we're about to kick off our second round of drilling, which are the blue holes on this map. When that's done, we'll be able to sit down and work out the maiden JORC resource for the project. There's just a section through that resource area. We're just focused on the oxidized materials, so to the base of oxidation. What we've found with the work we've done to date is that at Kada, the grade is higher in the oxide material, and the mineralisation is more continuous. So at this stage, we're going to leave the fresh and just focus on the oxide and follow that. You can see some of the intercepts that both we've got and both Newmont have got from the saprolite from the oxide. So some of our recent hits, 78 metres at 1.4, 47 at 1.9. I think this is an exciting slide. So now this is the upside. So that map on the right is the results of our recent auger drilling. We had 3 rigs out there. We did nearly 30 kilometres of auger drilling. You can see a photo there of what the lateritic profile looks like. So it was simply pushing down a shallow hole, most of them about 10 metres in depth, to get beneath the red laterite and to sample the weathered bedrock beneath. So if you look at our image there, all of the drilling today, all the RC diamond drilling, so the Newmont drilling and our drilling, has been done in that little blue outline. So outside that, completely untested, and that image there is our auger drilling results. So you can see that we're getting anomalous gold for over 15 kilometres along a major structure, where if you head outside of our boundary and go to the north, links up directly with Anglo Gold Ashanti's 10 million ounce Kouri mine complex. So we think there's potential for plenty of more oxide gold to be delineated outside the Newmont gold resource area and outside the area where we'll have our initial maiden resource. And I suppose, you know, what we really like about Kada is just, it really just has the smell of being something that can be developed very quickly. It's shallow mineralisation from surface, inherently open pittable. It's thick, it's continuous. You know, we think the stripping ratio will be very good. Material is incredibly soft. Most of our core is so soft we can cut it with a bread knife. We don't even need a core saw. So it offers the potential to be free digging, so low cost mining, low cost processing. The preliminary met test work on the project conducted by Newmont was positive, suggesting that the project's amenable to just a simple gravity cyanidation processing. And then it's in a part of the world where there is some infrastructure, so water, there's a mining centre, Kouri city just up the road. And I think the other thing, you can see the map there on the right-hand side. It's just, I mentioned how it's linked up with this Kouri mine complex to the north. So we've got a major structural corridor extending from Kada up 35 kilometres to Anglo Gold Ashanti. I think to point out there, if you look at the size of the anomaly that we have at Kada now, so 15 kilometres long, the only area in there that's been tested with any decent drilling is 800 metres in that Newmont gold resource area. And then if you look at Anglo Gold Ashanti to the north, you know, their 10 million ounces sits in a 10-kilometre long corridor. So, you know, we think great potential to put out a maiden resource for Kada and then to expand that along the corridor. And who knows what ounces we'll get as we do that work. So I'll now go on to our Kouri Gold Project in Burkina Faso. So it sits in the eastern part of the country. It's been our focus for some time until Kada came along. We do have a resource there, an indicated and inferred resource of 50 million tonnes at 1.3 grams for 2 million ounces. Metallurgy is good, and there'll certainly be some interesting activity in the neighbourhood. So West African Resources are now in production at Sanbrado, about 100 kilometres away, 250,000 ounces a year at similar mineralisation. And we have ore zoned and currently in construction. I mean, at this stage, we certainly think Kada's a better development proposition for us, probably easier mineralisation to develop in terms of the deep oxide profile, the softness of the material, and the width of the material. So we're certainly focusing on Kada for the next period of time, and in the meantime, we're looking at what options we have available for us to add value at Kouri. There's certainly a lot of mineralisation at Kouri, a lot of high grade that can be chased, but not one where we can do two things at the same time. So just a slide on Kouri resource area. So that's where the bulk of the ounces sit, 2 million ounces in the pit shells that we put together for the resource. In recent times, I suppose the interesting thing from Kouri has been some of the high grade hits. So it looks like we're picking up some high grade shoots out to the east of the current resource area. And some of the intercepts there include 6 metres at 25 or at 23. So there's certainly upside there. And we'll have another look at Kouri in a while once we see where Kada's going. Then the third project we have, and this is one that's on care and maintenance at the moment, is in Chile, northern Chile, in the highly prospective porphyry copper belt there. It was an historical silver mine. There's been quite a bit of work done in that silver mine area, and there's a silver lead zinc resource that has been identified. There was a feasibility study done on that area by Golder. Certainly potential to expand that resource, and some of our deepest holes in that area are very high grade, so very high grade silver, zinc and lead. But anyway, at this stage, the focus is Kada. We had this on care and maintenance, and we are looking to sell the project. But in recent times, obviously, with the way the copper price is going, we've had another bit of a relook at Powanta. There's actually a porphyry copper target in the southwest part of the licence area that's never been tested. So there's a picture there on the right, just shows you the alteration zone at Loreto. So large area, 3 by 3 Ks, never been drilled. And we've just done a little bit of work on that. So I've just done a bit of mapping, rock chip sampling. We've identified a porphyry centre in the middle of that alteration zone. It's 2.3 by 1 kilometres in area. If you go in that area, there's oxide copper on surface. There's igneous brecciaclast for chalcopyrite. We've dated it. It's the right date for the porphyry copper systems in this part of the world. And it's certainly an interesting area strategically in that we have Codelco on one side, we have BHP on the other. And in fact, even Codelco pegged over the top of our area. So if we were to relinquish our licenses, their applications would drop down on top. So in terms of where we are now, we're just getting some approvals with landowners for access. And when they're in place, we're looking to do probably an IP survey over the porphyry centre to see if we can identify drilling targets. Just a quick mention of EGCG. I mean, something very important to us, and we've been operating in West Africa now for 14 years. We work very closely with local villages in our project areas, certainly really finding out the things that they need, whether it's road repairs or bridges or water wells, and making sure that we're doing something so that we leave some legacy in the areas that we work. And as we get near the end, just a slide I wanted to share, I suppose looking at us versus our peers in West Africa and looking at valuations. I think it tells a very interesting story. So you can see where we're sitting at the moment at 17 million EV. I think a lot of our value is still sitting on our Kouri Gold resource in Burkina Faso. I think there's not a lot of value that is yet to come in for our Kada resource in Guinea. And I suppose you can see where we want to head as we put out our maiden JORC resource for Kada in the matter of months. We think we can certainly head over to the right-hand side there and up the value curve and towards where some of these other companies are sitting with oxide gold resources in West Africa. So groups like Newmont and Chessa, which will put out a resource shortly, extra gold. So certainly we think there's that potential for the 2 to 3 time uplift with the announcement of the oxide gold resource. So I suppose just wrapping up. So really Kada is the focus. It's all about oxide gold results. Certainly the big step's going to be the delivery of the maiden oxide gold resource towards the end of this year. And then beyond that, there really is the potential to make that maiden resource a lot larger as we head along the 15-kilometre gold corridor that we've identified north and south of what will be the initial resource area. So in terms of results, we should be drilling again very soon. So very quick turnaround from the labs that we use for Guinea. We send our samples predominantly to Bamako and Mali, and we get 10 to 15 day turnaround. So we'll soon have more oxide gold results from Kada, initially from the resource area and then beyond as we extend along the 15-kilometre corridor. The other thing that we're about to kick off is some metallurgical test work, just following up on the initial work by Newmont. And then in terms of auger drilling, we're looking to bring an auger rig back into Kada around November to continue to look for more gold outside the resource area. So both along the bedrock corridor and firming up anomalies for drilling, but also through the rest of our license area. And then the other thing that we will be doing, once with our landowner access agreements are in place, we'll look to do a bit of copper exploration on our Powanta project in Chile. Thank you.